Hello, my name is James McGarry with Head of Marketing. And in our first module of the Marketing Made Simple training series, I want to talk to you about why you aren't getting more from your marketing. And specifically, I've broken that into six categories of issues that your marketing might be suffering that's affecting performance. The very first of those problems is that you have an unclear target audience, or it's the absence of the comprehensive marketing research that you have to do to best understand the needs, wants, fears, and objections of your target audience. I'll give you a great example. I worked with a company called Hill DT Solutions. They sold a digital spinal decompression table. They were resellers, and when I met with them, they said, well, we want to sell to every single chiropractor and every single physical therapist. We believe that that is our target market. But what they hadn't accounted for is there are a large percentage of chiropractors who don't deal with spinal compression injuries. The same with physical therapists. And so what this did is it affected their messaging because they weren't able to speak to the specific needs of those chiropractors and physical therapies who did handle that type of injury. Second error that every company suffers, whether it's medical or not, is poor lead generation. That's attracting no or low quality or unqualified leads resulting in low conversions. So more specifically, it's not creating the interest in prospective customers that would lead to them purchasing your product or your service. I'll give you another great example. I worked for a company called Clemson Eye. Clemson Eye provides every optometrist and ophthalmologist service that exists. They are incredibly comprehensive in their services. But when they were opening their business, they decided that the only thing they needed to do were make announcements. They would announce that they were opening a location or announce that they had a service. And the problem is that they didn't really get into the specifics of the problem that they were solving. It was, we have a new eye center that's opening. The other problem that they ran into is they didn't really have the budget to market, so they thought that they could build a network to refer ophthalmology and optometrist patients to the practice. And in doing so, the market was so saturated that those referrals were super inconsistent. Poor lead generation is probably the one of the largest problems you can have as it comes to a failing marketing strategy. Thirdly, we have weak messaging. That's the inability to craft the benefits of your offering into a clear and compelling story that drives not only engagement, but action or purchase. Um, Great example of this is Prisma Health brought me in to help promote a wellness program for their employees. And they talked constantly in this program before I'd come on board about we have this service and that service, and we have all these services. But what they failed to do is create a story that detailed the transformation. Marketing, in my opinion, and I think that you would agree, is the story of transformation. It's how we take your customer from the beginning state where they are today to the goal state or the after state that they want to accomplish, and how our offering gets them there. Weak messaging is a terrible problem to have in a marketing strategy. Ineffective marketing strategies, um, I think that most oftentimes that looks like a couple different things, but and he does not want me to share the name of his practice, but I served a cosmetic dentist who had a very large practice that he had purchased. But as he went to grow that practice, he employed what I call the field of dreams strategy. That is, if I let people know that I exist in this community, then people are going to go ahead and they're going to beat down my door to get my cosmetic dentist solution to their problem. It can look like a lot of different things. Really, it's just a strategy that doesn't attract new prospects, nurture them through the buyer journey, or convert them into buyers. Inconsistent or poor execution is another terrible problem to have. I'll give you the example of the OB hospitalist group. They place obstetricians and gynecologists at hospitals who need to fill those positions. And they had a failure to execute, modify, and optimize their marketing strategy to really drive growth. What that looked like is they had a receptionist who, because they didn't have a lot of visitors to their building, they tasked her with creating all of the marketing collaterals. We're going to create our lists and our lead magnets and our email sequences. This was going to be the responsibility of the receptionist. And when that didn't work, the owner tried to step in and he tried to create it all on his own because they didn't have an external partner that had the skills or abilities to effectively market their services. And then that further became a problem because they tried to bring people in, but they didn't create a marketing playbook. The marketing playbook says, how are we going to execute our strategy? It's an incredibly important part of any marketing strategy. Poor execution will sink even the best of marketing strategies. And the final error, and this is my personal pet peeve, that's why it made the list, is trial and error marketing. It's the inability to decipher marketing analytics, eliminate what isn't working, and optimize what is. I'll give you a great example. Prisma brought me in after I had worked on their wellness program. They brought me in to help them with their mental health division. They felt like they were getting a lot of visitors, but they weren't really turning those into sales. And so what what I found when I came there is that they were not looking at their analytics at all. They weren't looking at what their conversion ratios were. They weren't looking at what their cost per acquisition was. Instead, they were saying, we're going to try a webinar. We're going to do a webinar. That's what we're going to do. And they would do a webinar and then they wouldn't get any conversions. And instead of looking at why it didn't work, they'd say, oh, okay, well, we're going to start this new paid ad campaign. That didn't work. All right, we're going to go ahead and so really the magic of marketing, if I were to encapsulate everything, it's the ability to look at what you're doing, eliminate what isn't working, and optimize what is. In our next module, we're going to talk about how to solve all six of these programs by building a real marketing program managed by a practice manager or the doctor, uh, any person that's designated so they have the tools and the tactics they need to build a winning strategy that will drive growth. I thank you for stopping by, taking a listen to Module 1, and we look forward to seeing you in Module 2.